Hey YouTube friends, what's going on? It's Richard, founder of Short Term Rental University and Airbnb Superhost. And today I'm coming to you from the Kimpton Surfcomber Beach Hotel here in sunny South Beach, Miami. And we're celebrating a very successful Miami Live. And I just want to shout out and thank all my new friends and entrepreneurs and just wish you to go get it because the best is yet to come. So thank you. But on the back of this wonderful news and people growing over here, there's been some terrible tragedies that have occurred and the press is having a field day with it, and it's all before the Airbnb IPO, and Airbnb is responding or doing the best that they can, which was the discovery of a nationwide scam by Ali Conti, is the author of Vice. And basically what happened to her seems to be happening to her and others at an increasing rate, and Airbnb is finally looking into it, which is a little bit too late, don't you think? But let me tell you what happened. So apparently the story goes, and this is all just what I've read from Ali and Vice, that she booked an Airbnb in Chicago, and then basically bait and switch. When she arrived, there was a plumbing issue. The host suggested that she take this upgrade. It's a bigger unit. And so she went and tried to deal with that, and it was just awful, right? It was like this slum ghetto, terrible thing, just beds and like a hole in the wall, and she knew something was wrong. And so they checked out the next day and contacted Airbnb for a refund. And that's where the story basically begins and almost even ends, because Airbnb didn't do very much. All they did was refund her one night. And the reason is because the current Airbnb policies are stacked in that particular case in the host's favor. You've heard me say on many occasions that I believe that the Airbnb platform is currently stacked in the guest favor. But in this particular case, the way it works is if somebody checks into your place and they stay one night, then it must be okay, because if it was really that awful, chances are you would take your bags and leave. But that's not really practical in today's world. I mean, if you traveled all the way across, say, the pond, and you came from Europe and you were coming to the US, and now you've got your kids and bags and all this stuff, and you just need a place to stay, you might just deal with it for one night and pick it up in the morning. It's not a blessing that the place is good. It's not an affirmation that this is acceptable, and it's certainly not the right way to do it, to book on the platform and then be directed by the host off the platform into some other place, right? So my red flags are going up, and for those of you whose red flags aren't, basically all transactions should occur on the Airbnb platform. So if the story was true and these things do in fact happen, a plumbing situation or some reason that you needed to be redirected, and the host has another listing on the platform, the correct way to do this is to cancel the original reservation or have the host do it, and then for them to book you into the new location, also on the Airbnb platform. And that basically protects you using all of the Airbnb, insurance policies and host guarantees and guest policies and so on. But as soon as you take that first step and you go into a different location that's not on the platform and so on, all bets are off. It's no longer an Airbnb thing. So what do I think is going on here, and what do I think Airbnb should be doing, and what do I think of the Airbnb response? So what do I think is going on here is pretty straightforward. It's the classic bait and switch. The world is filled, unfortunately, with bad actors who are looking for a quick buck, and it's really easy to have a very good listing at a high price with a lot of good reviews, and then people book that. And then you do the bait and switch and you give them a really subpar, really inexpensive, that's all profit. Now, completely unethical, I don't condone it, I don't recommend it. Whoever does it is a shyster and really should be legally pursued and thrown in jail. It's just completely against everything that we stand for as superhosts and modern hospitality and everybody who watches this channel. But I'm not surprised that this exists, right? People are really opportunistic. People are really hungry. If they can't grow and scale quickly enough doing it the legal way, there's a couple of people, or maybe even a few or more, that will go in a different route and just try and game the system. And they don't have the same ethics and morals that we do. They can sleep at night knowing that they're basically screwing people. And that's just awful. So what's the root cause of the problem though? Well, the root cause of the problem is that Airbnb isn't doing enough to screen and protect its guests by screening hosts. So it basically comes into this situation where Airbnb, with all of its technology and everything that it knows about all these different people, is doing the bare minimum in order to scale and grow as fast as possible and gain those network effects. They want as many people on their platform as possible, and the way that you do that is you make the barriers to join the platform relatively low. So There might be onboarding measures that require, an email address and a photo and maybe some government ID, but people can register without government ID. And that's just too easy. I understand the land grab and the network effect, and they want to be the biggest platform as quickly as possible. But the biggest platform with a lot of problems just isn't the best platform, right? A smaller platform that had more quality control, more assurances, more screening, more security, in my opinion, would be worth much more. And therein lies the opportunity for Airbnb, and on the face of them going public, they seem to agree, because their public relations machine is now putting into practice all of these press releases and these new techniques and screening measures that they're going to enact, and they all sound really great and they're all really timely and it makes a lot of sense. And my question is, well, why didn't we do this earlier, right? It's a little bit too late, and I'm a big fan of Airbnb, but I'm going to call it the way I see it. They missed the boat. They should have put this in place proactively, not reactively, not after dozens of people, hundreds of people, maybe even thousands of people have been screwed. Ali found these hosts hosting in 8 different cities, contacted many different people who'd had similar experiences in different cities with the same hosts, and it turns out these hosts may have had 2 or 3 or 4 different fake profiles, and the same thing happening, and it's just awful, because these are generally great guests that are hardworking. Maybe they're saving for their entire year for this vacation with their family, and they're just being duped and scammed, and it's just awful. And Airbnb really needs to address that rather quickly. So the initiatives they announced do in fact require more screening. It's harder to onboard, and it makes a lot of sense. But I don't know if this is just sort of really good timing, good press release, and we're going to do all of this, because the hard work is in the execution, in actually doing that work and going through and screening all of the guests and screening all of the hosts and making sure that everything is on board is a big and costly situation. Now, given the fact that they're going public, they have no choice, right? Literally, this is enough to derail their IPO or make it suffer. We just saw WeWork about to go public, and the entire valuation dropped by $37 million, boom, when they uncovered some things that weren't quite right. So on the back of that, this isn't the best time to go public, and Airbnb knows it, and they have 2 different things happening right now. One is this Vice scam that Ali Conti discovered, and that's what this film is about. But there's another one I'm about to film about a murder in California over Halloween. And so these 2 things back to back are really challenging for the Airbnb IPO, and their press people are working on it. I'm sure this has got everybody's attention, because this is the absolute worst thing that could ever happen at the absolute worst time. And so they must deal with this situation quickly, with speed, with accuracy, and with purpose and intent. And this isn't just oh, we're going to do this and we never get around to it. This must make this company grow up really quickly and take responsibility for their actions, or in this case, lack of actions. They should have been doing this earlier, they haven't. And there is the opportunity for them to do this so well that this actually strengthens the entire Airbnb community and strengthens the IPO, but I don't think enough time will happen between now, the announcement, and when the IPO happens. So we're gonna have to see. Just to be really clear, what I'm discussing here is a reservation that was made on the Airbnb platform, and then the scammer criminal host basically said that that property was not available, and we were going to upgrade you and put you into this other property. And that occurred off the Airbnb platform. That's a very different thing than what many of you have done, and I actually think is a really smart thing to do, and have a tool coming out in the near future to help you with it, which is creating your own listing and hosting your own website and taking your bookings directly. 2 very different things. One is somebody booking directly on Airbnb and then being rerouted off that platform against Airbnb policy, staying one night, and then being basically scammed. And another one is generating your own business with your own book of clients coming directly to you that probably you vetted or know some other way anyhow, and so you have greater assurances of who they are. So I just wanted to clear that up just in case there was any miscommunication. And there's no right or wrong. Use Airbnb all day long. Use VRBO all day long. Take direct listings all day long. What we're talking about here is somebody with a criminal desire and intent to manipulate and game and scam unsuspecting guests from all over the world, and that's just wrong. Airbnb, you had the opportunity to do right by the hosting community and by the guesting community by enacting higher standards, by being basically a representative, a role model for us to do things properly. And by skirting and looking the other way and making it too quick and making it too easy, you've actually ruined dozens, hundreds, maybe even thousands of people's vacations so that some criminal can go ahead and scam the system and make a quick buck. At your expense, your brand expense, your reputation's expense, at my expense, at every other host's expense, and that's just not fair or right. So let's see you make right. Let's see what amends you do. The proof is in the pudding. Actions speak louder than words. Your words are good, but I don't see any actions yet. Prove me wrong. Show me that the best is yet to come, and I would be the first to applaud you and cheer you and make a video on this if you do this right and you do it timely. But in the meantime, I'm disappointed. Shame on you. Thank you, Allie, for exposing this scam that's affecting hosts like me indirectly and guests from all over the world indirectly. So if you like this video, please go ahead and like the video. Comment below. What steps do you think Airbnb should take? Has anything like this ever happened to you? And do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. And again, thank you from the South Comer Beach here in sunny South Beach, Florida. Yes! Friends, I hope you found this video helpful. YouTube has been such a blessing for me because it's allowed me to educate and inspire hundreds of thousands of short-term rental hosts just like you. If you haven't noticed, I have hundreds of videos on my YouTube channel teaching Airbnb hosts a plethora of do's and don'ts. But when you're just starting out, it can be extremely overwhelming. You're probably thinking, what exactly do I do? Or where do I start? Well, if that's the case, I have a shortcut for you, and it's a sweet deal. For a very limited time, I'm giving away free access to an exclusive training video where I teach you the most important part of running any Airbnb business, no matter how big or small. The things you'll learn in this training are not available on my YouTube channel. In fact, it's a critical segment of my flagship course that sells for over $2,000. So if you want exclusive access to this training today, so you can block out the noise and get clear on what's the most important for you in your Airbnb business, then click on the button on this video or visit str.university/training. Again, that's str.university/training. Remember, this is a part of my flagship $2,000 course and it won't be available for much longer. Simply click the button below to claim it for free right now.